And so we're ready for chapter 10 on Hebrew participles, just the quick guide to Hebrew participles. Again, the code, whether you're on interlinearbible.org or whether you're on Blue Letter Bible or some other tool, it'll tell you it's a participle. And it will tell you what stem it is, because Hebrew participles can go into the stems. And it'll tell you whether it's masculine plural or feminine singular, and all those things. The code will tell you all these things. So I'm just kind of orienting you to them so that when you see the code, you kind of know what you're looking at. So what is a participle after all? Well, a participle is an ing word. It's not really that hard, although for some reason this is a matter of great fear for some people, even in high school English. But basically, the starting point, now there are variations on various things, but the starting point is that an active participle is inging something, so doing. If you use the Hebrew paradigm verb, killing or doing. So those are active participles, and they can also be passive. They also have an ing, but it's usually on a being. So being killed, being worked, being done. Those are passive participles. And like I said, all the things that apply to the meaning of the stems, the call stem, the PL stem, the hiphil stem, all the same things apply. Whatever a word would mean in that stem, you do it with an ing on it. So in the hiphil, causing to work, or in the niphal, being worked, the passive, working oneself, maybe in the hithpael stem. So or look it up in the dictionary because it's weird. So all the usual permutations of the stems apply when it comes to Hebrew participles as well. So what do these Hebrew participles do? Here's where it can get a little bit complicated. Sometimes a Hebrew participle can work just like an adjective. So here we have, can you sound it out? See if you can sound it out. Aish o kelet. This is a segolate, segol. So segolates are a little unique, and they accent or stress the second to last syllable. So oh kelet on the mountain. No, not really. So anyway, aish o kelet, a fire eating, an eating fire, a consuming. Our God is a consuming fire. An aish o kelet. So here it's used like a straight, he was a hairy bear, a very scary bear, just a normal adjective kind of use of the participle. So a participle is a kind of verbal adjective. And here's a good example, eating a fire. Now they can also work like predicates. This is where they might kind of be used for the present tense, for example. And you might stick an is or an are or something like that. So here is arura ha adama. It's the being cursed the ground. Being cursed the ground. And that hey there is the. And it has compensatory lengthening because the Aleph says, I don't do doubling. But ha adama is the ground. And then arura is a passive participle, being cursed. It's actually a call passive participle or a G passive participle. More on that in a second. We've not seen that before in this series. But you can see in this case, the noun has the article, but the word being used as an adjective doesn't. And so that's a good case for putting in an is. So the ground is being cursed might be the translation of this. Being cursed is the ground. They agree in gender, kamatse, they're both feminine. They agree in number, singular, but they don't agree in definiteness because this is an is or predicative situation, it's called. Being cursed the ground, like caveman, being cursed the ground. But you hear, I think there's an is in there. Being cursed is the ground. The ground is being cursed. So participles can function like straight adjectives. They can be used like predicates, and even the present. They can be used like a present tense sometimes, and they can be used what's called substantively, where the adjective reaches into its heart of hearts and pulls the substance out of a noun. So this is literally ha mav ear, the fire-causing one. So this is I think a hiphil participle. You don't have to know why, because the code will tell you it's hiphil. The code will tell you it's a participle. If you must know, the patak under this mem is often used with participles, in the hiphil and the pl and the hithpael, a mem is usually used as a performative for those participles. And then this is written defectively. There should be a yod in between these two letters, but here yod is a telltale sign of the hiphil stem. So it's so if ba'ar means to burn, then the hiphil would be to cause to burn, and then it's a participle, so causing to burn. Then we have hey patak doubling on the front, so it's the causing to burn one. And so you put it all together, and it comes to mean something like the one causing it to burn, the one causing the fire. That's where it gets a little complicated, right? Because you have to take so many things into account. You have to take the into account. You have to take that it's hiphil into account. You have to take that it's a participle into account, and you have to take into account that it's the word ba'ar, and you have to take into account that it's being used like a noun. And that's a lot to come up with. You can see that there's not a one-to-one between Hebrew and English at all here. We took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words to translate one word in Hebrew. But participles can be used like nouns in this kind of a way. All right. Well, the last thing I want to mention is this call passive participle. We know the call, we know the PL, and we know the D stem and the DP, D passive. We know the hiphil and the HP, the hiphil passive or hofal. We know the HTD, which, well, okay, forget the HTD. But we didn't know that there was a passive for the call stem or for the G stem. Well, that's because it only exists in this participle form. And we saw it, arara. Here, katul, being killed, is a call passive participle. Again, it will tell you. The code will tell you all these things. I'm kind of getting you acquainted with what it might look like a little bit in this video. And the key thing is that you know that you can either use it as an adjective, or you can use it as a predicate, or you can use it as a present tense ing kind of word, which is another kind of predicate use of it, or you can use it substantively. That's the main thing to get out of this video, but the code will tell you whether and when it's a participle.